Go ahead.
So for many years, I was strictly football and basketball. I believe that those were my only two sports that showed, true athleticism. But I could not have been more wrong in that thinking. I even got approached by my track and field coach in high school, saying, hey, you should come run track. We could really use you. And I just kind of brushed off like, I'm not running track. Track's stupid. But I gave it some more thinking, and I decided to go out and run track. And one of the first events that my coach took me to was high jump, my history in basketball. He was like, we could really use you, just, throw you in and see how it goes. And fast forward 5 years later, I'm here at Mount, and I'm still high jumping. Good morning, everyone. My name is Evan Hirschberger. I am a Ohio Athletic Conference champion in the high jump, and I'm also a national qualifier for high jump. And today I'm going to teach you the three, what I would call main keys in understanding, what's required to high jump, the body control needed to perform high jump, and maybe at the end of this you'll gain a little bit more respect for not only my event, but apply it to other track and field events to understand, all the body control that is involved. So, to start out, obviously, you guys know that we have to run at the bar, but the entire process of high jump, you're always focusing on body control. So during this approach, you're using controlled speed. So me personally, I have a 10-step approach. So I start about 50 feet back, and I start out with 5 bounding steps. So it's more like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And notice how I got progressively faster with each of those bound steps. That helps build that speed without being a sprinter, starting out of blocks and just going at the bar, because that's out of control speed. You can't transfer that speed into a jumping motion. You have to slow down, gather yourself, and take off. So after those bounding steps are completed, that's when our strides shorten up and we start to gather ourselves going into the bar. So I take 5 short gathering steps right before I take off. So my entire approach will sound like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then that 10th step is when we explode at the bar. And now that brings me to the actual takeoff itself. So we've done our approach, we have nice controlled speed coming in, we're fast, under control. When we come into the bar, we want our foot, for me I'm the left-footed jumper, we want our foot planted pointing at the bar. What this does is it helps us not lose all this momentum that we've just worked to build running at the bar. Because if you say my foot's out here, you've now eliminated all this motion, so if you jump straight up, that's where you're going to go, is up. No more momentum carrying us over the bar. You're going to come up and just come straight down on, and you're going to knock it off. So we got our foot pointed towards the back corner of the mat, and we want our hips sunk just a little bit. We don't want to get down in here, because this also kills the speed that we worked so hard to bring at the bar. We want to be bent in our hips a little bit, and we want to have as little ground contact as possible. This last step, you need to be up just as quick as you can. So when you hit up immediately, and my drive knee is now coming up, and you basically want to take this knee and point it so high that you feel like you're going to knee yourself in your shoulder. And what this does is it allows us to get our hips over the bar for the next step. Many people think when you high jump, you just arc your back. You go over and you just arc your back and hopefully you get over. Well, that's not exactly the case, because the demonstration I like to use is think of, the arc in St. Louis, use my note card, it's like this. Say we tilt this note card over the bar and we're still moving towards the bar. When we try and come through, our feet, or on this side, are still moving, and you're going to take the bar with you as you go over. So, the way to counteract this is you actually drive your shoulders downward. And what this causes, your whole body is going to follow where your shoulders go. So if you go over, we come up, we're vertical takeoff, and our shoulders come down like this. The natural motion is for this tail end to follow that same path downwards. And it's much easier to get your hips over, because more than likely your legs and your hips are going to be the actual thing to knock the bar off than, say, the middle of your back. So when you put all that together, you give yourself the best opportunity to perform at your best and hopefully reach higher heights. So I hope you learned some today. I hope you gained a newfound respect for high jump, but also track and field in general for, the body control and the actual time it takes to be very good at your event. Thank you.